I'd like to explain to you the control knobs on your bass. And you probably have a bass that looks like this. This is called a P bass, but we're also going to be looking at a jazz bass and an active bass in a few moments. We'll go through all three of those main basses that you encounter. Most of you should have this. This is the one that I recommended to you. It'll look a little bit different in terms of the color. Probably you got a black one. But the P bass has this one pickup and two control knobs. Now, always on whichever bass you're dealing with, the frontmost knob, we call that the neck side rather than the bridge side, the bridge and the neck. So this one is going to be your volume. And this rear one on the P bass is the tone. So right now I have them both rolled off, so you can't hear it. Now as I turn the volume on, there we go. Now the tone, I'm going to roll the tone on and off. Right now I have the tone off. With the tone off, it has more of a mellow sound. Now in this particular bass, the tone knob doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but when you roll it on, it's going to give you a little more of a growl, a little more of an edgy tone. I couldn't tell much difference in that. Let's try it on the G string. This is off to on. Off to on. So it makes a little more difference, I think, in the higher strings than in the lower strings. All right, so that is the P bass. Now, before I switch over to my jazz bass, I'm going to make sure that my volume is off here. And I'm going to turn my volume down all the way down on my amp so that when I pull the cord out, it doesn't make a popping noise and potentially harm my amp. The next bass that you could possibly have ended up buying is what's called the jazz bass. And these are great basses also, though the P bass is my favorite. And that P bass that we just played, the white one with the one pickup, is the first bass that was invented way back in the 40s or 50s, I think. Now this is the jazz bass, and it's the second bass that was invented by Fender, both of these invented by Fender. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my volume up a little bit. All right, now you're going to see that, that this bass has two pickups. It has what we call the neck pickup and the bridge pickup. Bridge pickup closest to the bridge, neck pickup closest to the neck. And you'll notice that the neck pickup is in about the same spot as the pickup on the P bass. So we can use the neck pickup or the bridge pickup or both of them together. So the first knob is the volume control. Like we said before, the frontmost knob closest to the neck is going to be volume. But this is the volume for the neck pickup. The second knob is the volume for the bridge pickup. So if I turn the first volume all the way on and I have everything else off, I'm going to get only the sound from this pickup, which is going to be more of a mellow sound. Then if I just turned that off so we can't hear it. Now if I turn up the second button, the second control knob, now I'm just going to hear the sound from the bridge pickup, which is going to have a little more of a brighter tone, just like if you played back there on your guitar. You can also mix them both. You can turn them both on. All right. And then the back knob is for the tone, which affects both of these pickups together. Tone for both pickups. So I think for what we do in class, I would recommend, if you have a jazz bass, that you turn the neck pickup all the way on, and I would roll the tone and the bridge pickup off. That way you're going to get that classic sound, the classic bass, deep, rich sound that would be more similar to the P bass that we just saw. All right, so now I'm going to turn my volume down, so I'm not going to make any noise there. Turn my volume down on my amp. And we're going to show you an active bass. This is a Music Man, which was the first active bass invented, also by Fender, Leo Fender. But he had left Fender by this point, and he came up with a new idea. Oh, the other two basses are what we call passive basses, which means that they don't need a battery to bring the sound to the amp. But this active bass requires a battery, which goes right here in the back. So if yours has a little battery point here, that means you have an active bass. And we don't normally have students that get actives, but every year we might have one or two. So this is about as simple as an active bass comes. Sometimes they have more knobs than this. But this one is so simple because it only has this one pickup. Sometimes actives will have 2 or even 3 pickups. So for this one, we have, let me turn my volume up. Your volume still is going to be all the way in the front. I'm rolling everything off right now. Okay, so you don't hear anything. Now we turn up the volume. Okay, then the back 3 knobs are for treble, mid, and bass. So if I turn the bass up, I get more of that rich sound. Now I'm going to turn the bass off. Then I'm going to roll the treble on. It has more of a trebly, growly sound. And then the mid is sort of a mix between those. So typically, for us, I would just say, even in here, I would roll the bass on all the way. I would roll the mid off and the treble off and turn the volume all the way up. Because that's going to get, for us, that classic bass sound that the bass was invented to make. The electric bass was invented to make that type of a sound. Later on, we can deal with these controls to make some more, some different sounds. But let's stick with the classic, the foundation of bass playing to get started. All right, I hope that helps you understand your knobs.